Welcome to this episode of Locked In. This episode, I'm going to be doing my review of the American classic Krumbien, and Wentworth gravel tire. Hopefully I said that right, but in this review, if you're looking for an affordable $35 tubeless tire for your city bike, your e-bike, your gravel bike, or your road bike, this episode's for you, so please stay tuned. In this episode, I'm going to be going over the specs and features of the American Classic tires. In this specific review, I'm going to be reviewing, again, the Wentworth and the Krumbien gravel tires, but they do have other tires, and I'll link to their full website in the description below. They probably have a gravel tire for you, depending on what kind of riding you're looking for. But again, they do have city and road tires as well. And I'll be doing future reviews with other tire models later down the line, so make sure to subscribe and like this video. So the specs for all of their gravel tires currently, while I'm filming this video, all of them are going to come in a 650B by 47, a 700C by 40, and a 50C, and most will come in black and tan wall options. Now, the technology that they are going to have in all of them, they all are going to be tubeless ready, and their gravel models are going to feature their rubber force and stage 5 protection. Basically, this is their technology to aid in obviously flat protection, as well as helping the rubber last longer for obviously higher mileage. So especially for gravel tires, if you haven't noticed, if you do run a higher knob tire or a more aggressive tire that doesn't have a slick center, you tend to wear out the center tread pretty quick, especially on your rear wheel. On my gravel setup, I've run both these tires independently, meaning I've run the same tire front and back. Then I've run kind of in a mullet or a staggered tread pattern on my Cobalt Warhawk, which I've actually really liked. I've never done a setup like this on a gravel bike or even my mountain bike that's even run the same set of tires, but I figured I might as well. And I wanted to give it a full send for my gravel ride that I did in Malibu, and I'll link to that vlog in the description below. It was an event, not a race, but I wanted to try this out with a slightly slicker rear tire because it did have a good amount of road section, and I never really got the Krumbien front tire to slip on me, but I did notice a little bit more drag compared to the Wentworth. But I liked the front grip that the Krumbien gave me, so I did the staggered setup, and I really liked it. Gives you that fast rolling rear. Now, obviously, there is going to be some drag from the front tire, but because there's not as much of your body weight on there, I didn't notice the drag as much, and it rolls pretty nice, and it has a nice rounded profile, so it still corners pretty well, and it didn't feel kind of chunky or anything on long road sections. And I've even commuted on this tire setup recently for the last 300 or 400 miles at this point this month. So that's something that I really like, that I didn't have to swap it out. Now, is it the most efficient on the road? No. But I think these tires are going to really give you that great combination of efficiency and overall grip. And if you like a little bit of a looser feel on the rear end to be able to slide and move the rear end of the bike around, this is kind of the setup I would definitely recommend. Now, on their gravel scale of all the tires they offer, these are the two most aggressive. So my front tire obviously being the most aggressive in their lineup, and the Wentworth being one step down. Now, they have multiple steps below that, so you, again, could do another combination if this is too much grip for you, and this is going to lead more towards a looser, more single track as far as they give on their graph compared to obviously more hard pack and mixed condition road and light duty gravel. So again, check the links in the description below to see if there's a tire that suits your needs better. To break into each tire and what I liked and disliked about them. As far as the Wentworth, I really liked that there was kind of a tire that you could ride on road or dirt, and you didn't notice much of an effect as far as rolling resistance on the street, because on most gravel bikes, most people are riding to the trail or doing, again, a kind of mixed terrain ride. And these were a really nice tire that were grippy enough, I think, in most dirt conditions, but you can definitely find their limits on the really steep stuff if it's very loose, because as you can see, they're not really deep as far as the knob design on them. So they're going to be better than a gravel tire with a slicker center on the dirt without much of a penalty as far as rolling resistance. And I've commuted on these tires quite a bit, and they're pretty quiet on the road, which is definitely something that you do notice if you're commuting on a gravel tire. So as far as flat protection, I really like both of these tires. I haven't had a single issue or even anything puncture them in the 500 or 600 miles I've put on both so far. So obviously your experiences may vary, but American Classic actually offers a warranty on their tires. So if you do get a cut, I believe it's within the first year, but again, I'll link that. All that information will be on their website in the description below, but they will give you a one-time 50% off of your replacement tire on there, and they have a 2-year warranty if there's any defects in the tire, which is an amazing deal for any tire. I haven't heard of any other company that's done that before, but comment below if I'm wrong or if there's other companies who have a similar warranty. So those are all my likes for both tires. As far as my dislikes, it's mainly just the weight and a little bit stiff of a ride for the tire. With most tires that are very puncture resistant, they tend to be a little bit stiffer, meaning that as far as the feel on them, they are going to ride a little harder, so you're going to have to ride them at a little bit lower PSI than you're used to on a normal casing tire that doesn't have extra puncture protection. Now, obviously, that's a trade-off, so if that's something that's important to you, that's definitely worth it, but you're really going to have to play with the pressures. If you're used to whatever you're riding right now, you may have to lower them by 5 to maybe 10 PSI, depending on the level of grip that you're looking for, compared to a normal casing or a light duty casing tire. And then that's going to go into the weight as well. These tires are going to be pretty heavy and going to be over 700 grams depending on what tire you're running in the 50C size. So obviously they're all going to vary depending on the tread pattern, but all of them are pretty much above 700 or right there at it in that size. And obviously they'll be lighter if you go down to the 40. Now let's get into price. Price for these tires across the board, no matter the size, $35 on Amazon. You can get them directly on Amazon. So check again in the links below if you want to pick them up. So this makes it super simple and easy to go tubeless. So I think that's a killer deal to get into this because I am a real big advocate to go tubeless if you can. So lastly, should you try the Mullet setup? Now in my experience, again, I really like this Mullet setup. It gives you the really great front end grip on the looser stuff so you keep traction because obviously washing out the front end typically means a crash. And on the rear, having a little bit slicker of a setup to where you can manipulate the rear end or maybe slide it into some more technical corners if you're using your hips kind of on your saddle, I really prefer, and I'm trying to master that skill, but that's something that is going to be up to you. But I really think this is the kind of sweet spot if you're predominantly riding gravel, but if you are going to do the occasional commute or longer road section, it's not going to be detrimental to you. I really think this is where gravel tires are going to go because if you look at most mountain tires, there's a lot of tires that are coming out now that are front and rear specific. So I think that's going to be the new trend coming down the line with gravel tires as well. So let me know your comments in the comments below. Make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I post on there regularly so you can see what's coming up on the channel. And I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe and like this video. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in today, like tutorial.